प्रणाम है।
नमस्ते। Is there any echo? Echo is there. Okay, we'll start. এখানে মনে হচ্ছে 80 মিনিট করতে হবে না? না? Okay. श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम्। सहना भवतु सहनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। हरिः ओम्। असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्युर्मा अमृतं गमय आविराविर्मयेधि। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। हरिः ओम्। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्तगोचरं तम् अगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। Let we be protected, let we be nourished. Let we strive with energy and vigor. Let our study be enlightening and not give rise to hostility. Om peace, peace, peace. Lead us to truth and not to untruth. Lead us to enlightenment and not ignorance. Lead us to immortality and not death. Let the self-manifest Atman grow in me. Om peace, peace, peace. I bow to Govinda, whose nature is bliss supreme, who is the Sadguru, who can be known only from the import of all Vedanta, and who is beyond the reach of speech and mind. We are studying Vivekachudamani. Vivek. How we can get Vivek? You know, it's very simple, but still we falter. It's driving rules. The driving rule says whenever there is a crossing, stop. Look around. And here also, if there is sound. And then if everything is okay, then go ahead. Generally what happens, we don't stop and we don't look around, we don't listen any noise also, and just we go. What we do? We interact with the objects of the world without caution. But here, in driving, you do this practice all the time. You don't rush. When there is a crossing, you stop. And then a sign is there also, stop. And then you look around. You listen and go. Generally what happens? We go and we make and do some accident. So Vivek, that means discrimination. It says not to interact with the objects of the world at random or as you want. You just stop, look around, listen, and when everything is okay, then go. So Vivek is the power by which we are saved. A Vivek, that means non-discrimination, makes us miserable. That is why we must study Vivekachudamani, how to interact in this world. Here some instructions are given: stop, wait, listen, look around, and when everything is okay, then go. So it is simple, but it is, and we practice also. It's not that. When we go for shopping, we don't buy everything. Whatever we put our hands on, we don't buy. We assess it, whether it is healthy or not, whether calorie is okay or not, whether it is organic or not, and whether I have that money or not. So we assess everything and then buy. But what happens in this world when we interact? We don't look at our purse, we don't see whether it is organic or not, we don't assess in any manner, and we interact. And the result is we suffer. So Vivek is not very difficult thing. We need to have patience. We need to assess the situation and interact. So this is Vivekachudamani. And we are in a section where the disciple has already reached the goal. So this is the portion where Shankaracharya, Bhagwan Shankaracharya is concluding, and some concluding remarks are there. What happens to a person who has attained that situation? For such a person, what we see in his personality. So this is a person whose prajna pratisthita, that means who is well established in wisdom, divine wisdom. So before we proceed, we will read from the complete works of Swami Vivekananda, if David is there. David?
Yes, Swami.
Please go ahead.
I'm reading from Maya and the Evolution of the Conception of God, delivered in London. With the advance of ethical ideas came the fight. There arose a certain sense in man, called in different languages and nations by different names. Call it the voice of God, or the result of past education, or whatever else you like. But the effect was this, that it had a checking power upon the natural impulses of man. There is one impulse in our minds which says do. Behind it rises another voice which says do not. There is one set of ideas in our mind which is always struggling to get outside through the channels of the senses, and behind that, although it may be thin and weak, there is an infinitely small voice which says do not go outside. The two beautiful Sanskrit words for these phenomena are pravriti and nivriti, circling forward and circling inward. It is the circling forward which actually governs our actions. Religion begins with this circling inward. Religion begins with this do not. Spirituality begins with this do not. When the do not is not there, religion has not yet begun. And this do not came, causing men's ideas to grow, despite the fighting gods which they had worshipped. A little love awoke in the hearts of mankind. It was very small indeed, and even now it is not much greater.
So do not here, like do not rush. So generally what happens, we rush somehow and we think everything will be okay. But then we get some blows and then we are wiser. Yes.
A little love awoke in the hearts of mankind. It was very small indeed, and even now it is not much greater. It was at first confined to a tribe embracing perhaps members of the same tribe. These gods loved their tribes, and each god was a tribal god, the protector of that tribe. And sometimes the members of a tribe would think of themselves as the descendants of their god, just as the clans in different nations think that they are the common descendants of the man who is the founder of the clan. There were in ancient times, and are even now, some people who claim to be descendants, not only of these tribal gods, but also of the sun and the moon. You read in the ancient Sanskrit books of the great heroic emperors of the solar and the lunar dynasties. They were first worshippers of the sun and the moon, and gradually came to think of themselves as descendants of the god of the sun or of the moon, and so forth. So when these tribal ideas began to grow, there came a little love, some slight idea of duty towards each other, a little social organization. Then naturally the idea came, how can we live together without bearing and forbearing? How can one man live with another without having some time or other to check his impulses, to restrain himself, to forbear from doing things which his mind would prompt him to do? It is impossible. Thus comes the idea of restraint. The whole social fabric is based upon that idea of restraint, and we all know that the man or woman who has not learnt the great lesson of bearing and forbearing leads a most miserable life. Now, when these ideas of religion came,
So
a
we
glimpse
see in every family, if they do not adjust, then what happens? Then divorce happens. So even in a family, one should adjust. It is not that uh, that it has no reason. That one should be able to adjust oneself according to the need, and it is to admit others' standpoint. It's not that one should think that he alone is true, his opinion alone is valid. Rather, he should take care of others' opinion also. There may be an angle which is to be thought of. So there comes the adjustment. And so this also happens because of love. You know, when mother loves her child, she adjusts herself. She knows that it is not possible for everyone to follow what she um, or he, whatever parents wants. So therefore, this adjustment happens. Yes.
now, when these ideas of religion came, a glimpse of something higher, more ethical, dawned upon the intellect of mankind. The old gods were found to be incongruous. These boisterous, fighting, drinking, beef-eating gods of the ancients, whose delight was in the smell of burning flesh and libations of strong liquor. Sometimes Indra drank so much that he fell upon the ground and talked unintelligibly. These gods could no longer be tolerated. The notion had arisen of inquiring into motives, and the gods had to come in for their share of inquiry. Reason for such and such actions was demanded, and the reason was wanting. Therefore, man gave up these gods, or rather, they developed higher ideas concerning them. They took a survey, as it were, of all the actions and qualities of the gods, and discarded those which they could not harmonize, and kept those which they could understand, and combined them, labeling them with one name, Deva Deva, the god of gods. The god to be worshipped was no more a simple symbol of power. Something more was required than that. He was an ethical god. He loved mankind, and he did good to mankind. But the idea of God still remained. They increased his ethical significance and increased also his power. He became the most ethical being in the universe, as well as almost almighty.
Yeah, see, we see how rationality comes in between. First, he who had power, his ruling was supreme. But gradually, people started thinking. The thought process and also rationality is important. And from that comes ethics. What is good for the society? What is greater good? And what is lesser good? Why should one do in such a way or in other way? This is the dawn of rationality and the basis of ethics. The basis of ethics is unity. If something helps me, why should not I do? Like if, as Swamiji said, if strangulating someone helps my end, why should not I do? It is because strangulating others means you are harming yourself. That is unity. So rationality is the basis, and also rationality is important and it is required for Viveka. That is why in the society also we find we try to understand rationally, and then only we accept. Yes.
But all this patchwork would not do. As the explanation assumed greater proportions, the difficulty which it sought to solve did the same. If the qualities of the god increased in arithmetical progression, the difficulty in doubt increased in geometrical progression. The difficulty of Jehovah was very little beside the difficulty of the God of the universe, and this question remains to the present day. Why, under the reign of an almighty and all-loving God of the universe, should diabolical things be allowed to remain? Why so much more misery than happiness, and so much more wickedness than good? We may shut our eyes to all these things, but the fact still remains that this world is a hideous world. At best, it is the hell of Tantalus. Here we are with strong impulses and stronger cravings for sense enjoyments, but cannot satisfy them. There rises a wave which impels us forward in spite of our own will. And as soon as we move one step comes a blow. We are all doomed to live here like Tantalus. Ideals come into our head far beyond the limit of our sense ideals, but when we seek to express them, we cannot do so. On the other hand, we are crushed by the surging mass around us. Yet if I give up all ideality and merely struggle through this world, my existence is that of a brute, and I degenerate and degrade myself. Neither way is happiness. Unhappiness is the fate of those who are content to live in this world, born as they are. 1,000 times greater misery is the fate of those who dare to stand forth for truth and for higher things, and who dare to ask for something higher than mere brute existence here. These are the facts, but there is no explanation. There cannot be any explanation. But the Vedanta shows the way out. You must bear in mind that I have to tell you facts that will frighten you sometimes. But if you remember what I say, think of it, and digest it, it will be yours. It will raise you higher and make you capable of understanding. and living in truth.
Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, Anityam asukham lokam imam prapya bhajaswamam. This world is full of misery. And this is temporary. It's not permanent. If you try to find out permanency in impermanence, misery is the result. You want to depend because I alone am real. I alone am permanent. So this is important. This is Viveka, to find out what is permanent and what is real. That we have to find out. So this we are studying this Vivekachudamani. Now we'll go to our text as we are proceeding. So we'll start from 541. Now it is concluding remarks. So what happens to such a person who has attained the wisdom, the spiritual wisdom? What happens to him? So we'll read this. Kaman 541. Kaman nishkama rupi sancharetyekacharo munihi swatmanaiva sadatushtaha swayam sarvatmana sthitah. So what is the translation? The sage living alone enjoys the sense objects, being the very embodiment of desirelessness, always satisfied with his own self and himself present as the all. So what is the point? He also behaves like us. We eat, he also eats. But there is a little difference. What is the difference? We want to enjoy more and more. We eat more and more. We know that senses cannot give us satisfaction, but we want because it's craving. And with enjoyment comes more craving for that. If we have one Kit Kat, then we want to have more Kit Kats. What is the point? Such a person never tempted prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanogatan. So he interacts with this world, but leaving aside all kinds of desires. Atmannevatmana tushtha sthita prajnas tadochyati. He is established in wisdom, who enjoys his own self. He does not enjoy the senses. He knows everything is him, and therefore he is pleased with himself. He plays with himself. It is not that he interacts with the world. Though apparently it is like that he eats as we eat, but actually he knows there is no two. There are no two. It is him and him alone manifesting in so many forms. So kaman nishkamarupi. Nishkamarupi sancharatyeka charumuni. That Muni, Mananashila, what he trades in this world, that means as if it is kaman, desires. He trades in this, but without any desire. So like we give example of a surfer. Surfer goes and wades through the tube, the water tube that is formed like with wave. So he walks on water as it were. He is not stuck somewhere. He goes through. Even musicians, they sing. It is called flow. And flow comes. They are not attached with something. They flow with the tune. Similarly, a wise person is not attached with this world. Apparently he behaves as we behave. So kaman nishkama rupi sancharetyeka charo muni. Munihi. So atmanaiva sada tushta. And he is always tushta, always happy. Swayam sarvatmana sthita, because he is in everything and everything is in him. Yomam pashyati sarvatram sarvam cha mai pashyati. He sees that he is in everything and everything is in him. That means there are no two. So when one attains in such a state, then one is free from all kinds of desires. He interacts, but he interacts with himself. Atmanatmana tushta. Atmani atmana tushta. So this is difficult, but okay. I'll read from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Then you'll understand. Okay, after this the shlokas will also come, and it will be clearer. It is from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, 83 page. The master was in the mood of a child. Being hungry, he said to him, "What have you brought for me?" Looking at Rakhal, he went into samadhi. So he, as if he wants to eat something, and he said like a child, he was gradually coming down to the normal plane. So he was in samadhi, and from that state he asked, "What have you brought for me?" To bring his mind back to the consciousness of the body, he said, "I shall eat some jalebi. I shall drink some water." So there are two standpoints. One is an incarnation of God. Incarnation of God, he incarnates for loka samgraha. That means to teach humanity. And a Siddha Purusha may not be an incarnation. He is happy like a Trailanga Swami. Trailanga Swami would be alone and he would enjoy, even he would swim for hours in the Ganga. But here Sri Ramakrishna is different from him. Sri Ramakrishna is incarnation of God. He incarnated himself to teach humanity. Whereas Trailanga Swami or Siddha Purusha, they live in this world without attachment. Okay, now, so he said, I shall eat some jilipi, I shall drink some water. He wanted to bring his mind down because he has no trace of desire. He would hold some desire to bring his mind down. Weeping like a child, he said to the Divine Mother, O Brahmamayi, O Mother, why hast thou done this to me? That means, why are you dissolving or like removing my all identity with this world and merging me in Brahman? My arm is badly hurt. That means he is trying to bring his mind down to his hand, his body, and that is why he also got accident. To the devotees, will I be all right again? And they consoled him as one would a child and said, surely you will be quite well again. So Sri Ramakrishna, this time he was like a child. Sometimes he would teach even Vidyasagar or the renowned Keshav Chandra Sen, and even he scolded Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay. তুমি তো বড় ঢ্যামনা. So he, even like a courageous person, sometimes he would behave like that, sometimes a child, sometimes a fool. So all these we see in Sri Ramakrishna, very, very important. So Master to Rakhal, you aren't to blame for it. Though you are living here to look after me, for even if you had accompanied me, you certainly would not have gone up to the railing. He went for washroom, though it was not washed that time, it is open. So Rakhal would not go up to that. That's why he is consoling Rakhal that not to worry, it is not because of you that happened. The master again went into a spiritual mood and said, Om, Om, Om. Mother, what is this that I am saying? Don't make me unconscious. Unconscious means don't make me in samadhi. Because I am here now with a purpose to teach humanity. So don't make me unconscious, mother, with the knowledge of Brahman. Don't give me Brahma Jnana. See, like people, those who are striving, they would ask Brahma Jnana. They want to attain Brahma Jnana. But here he is beyond that. He is not asking for Brahma Jnana. Rather, he is requesting mother, don't give me Brahma Jnana. I am but thy child. I am easily worried and frightened. I want a mother. A million salutations to the knowledge of Brahman. Give it to those who seek it. O Anandamayi, O blissful mother. So here we see in Sri Ramakrishna as a child. And once it happened, there was that time, they had Raja title. So one such person was there in a house. And Sri Ramakrishna also was present there. And he said, I cannot tell you Raja, I cannot address you as Raja, because that's false. So he told him on his face. And that gentleman, he somehow uh, left that place and went to another place. So this is the situation when one attains the highest, is not bound with particular norm, particular way of life. They are free. It is called Nistraigunya. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. Sri Krishna says, all, even Vedas, are within the domain of three gunas. Be and go beyond three gunas. It's Traigunya Bhavarjuna. So this is very important. So we go to the next. Because Brahma Jnani, he interacts with the world not as separate objects, but he knows that he alone exists in so many forms. So how he interacts? Kvachit Mudaha, Kachit Mudaha, Vidwan Kachit. Kachit Mudaha, Vidwan Kachidapi. Maharaj Vibhavah, Kvachit Bhrantah, Somyah, Kachit Jagad Achar Kalitah, Kvachit Patri Bhutah, Kvachit Avamatah, Kapya Viditah, Tarattevam Prajnah, Tatata Paramananda Sukhitah. So first we will translate and then we'll discuss. Sometimes a fool. Ramakrishna would say, I am a greatest fool. And he would say, why people come here? And even master, he was headmaster of schools. And he was even master of his subject. So why people come here? And great erudite Pandits would come to Sri Ramakrishna. But he would, Bhairavi Brahmani came. And Bhairavi Brahmani said, I'll prove that you are an incarnation of God. So Ramakrishna said to Mathur Babu, Mathur, please arrange. And like a child, please arrange a meeting. And the Mathur said, okay. So he arranged a meeting. And they were talking about his various attainments, that what he experiences. And he was sitting there and sometimes looking someone and sometimes looking another person. And sometimes he would add, yes, yes, I feel this. So as if he was an observer. And something is being said for somebody else. So he was not involved there. So Kachit Mudaha, Vidwan Kachitapi, Maharaj Vibha, sometimes a fool, sometimes a sage, sometimes possessed of regal splendor. So Ramakrishna said to Mathur, I want to taste Hubble Bubble. So Mathur Babu arranged Hubble Bubble and also very nice shawl. So he wore everything, and he started using Hubble Bubble, sometimes by left side and sometimes right side. And after, oh mind, this is called Hubble Bubble. And after a certain time, he threw them all. And even that very nice shawl, he was started spitting. Not only that, he started jumping on it. What is this? It is all Rajasic. And then, so there is no binding with anything. So sometimes regal splendor, sometimes wandering, sometimes behaving like a motionless python, sometimes wearing a benignant motionless expression, sometimes honored, sometimes insulted, sometimes unknown. Thus lives the man of realization, ever happy with supreme bliss. Even I was talking about Trailanga Swami. So Trailanga Swami was staring to a lady, and she thought he was insulting him. So he was put to jail, and he was happy there. But then when they locked him up, he came out, smiling outside. What happened? Then they checked that cell. Again, he was there. So this is very difficult to understand. And they behave like in so many ways. So sometimes a fool, sometimes, and in the life of Sri Ramakrishna also we find that. Sometimes he talk like a fool. He does not understand, as it were. Sometimes possessed of regal splendor, sometimes wandering, sometimes behaving like a motionless python, a jagarbritti, sometimes wearing a benignant expression, sometimes honored, sometimes insulted. Somebody came and kicked him when he was weeping for mother, and he did not say anything. Sometimes unknown. Two uh, two boatmen were arguing, and while arguing, one slapped other, and he was looking intently to them. And when one slapped other, he cried out, and they came running, said, "What happened to you, uncle? Please tell me." And then he saw the hand impression on his back. So Hriday asked, "Who did it? Did it? Please tell me. I'll snatch his head." And then Sri Ramakrishna said, "No, no, no, not to worry, because they were quarreling and I was looking at them, and then one slapped other, so it is translated here. So it is unknown. Thus lives the man of realization, ever happy with supreme bliss, in whatever he remains in place." So we go to the next, and people think about him in various ways. Sometimes he would say Pagla Bamun, a mad Brahmin of Dakshinesh. And he is happy. He will not feel insulted. And somebody told Pagla Bamun, uh, a mad priest of Dakshineshwar. So, why it happens? Because he is not affected by the opinion of the world. He knows this is all himself in so many forms. When you are in your room, suppose you are in front of a mirror, and you are telling some harsh word to you, but you will not mind. Why? Because it is your image. But what happens to us? If somebody says something, we are angry. Why? Because we know it is separate. That person is separate. Why is doing so? When somebody coughs in front of us, then we feel he's transmitting, he or she is transmitting that virus. So 6 feet away, we have certain area which we don't like that somebody should invade there. But for him, it is nothing, because he knows everything is one. And he's not afraid of anybody. So anyway, we go forward. So what is the speciality in him? Nirdhanopi sadatushtaha. So though he has no money, but he is always happy, because he has no need. If something is needed, everything will happen by the will of God, with will of mother. So nirdhanopi sadatushtaha apyasahayo mahabala. Though there is no person to help him, but he feels that he is very strong. He is not afraid of anybody. Nitya tripto api abhunjano ana nitya tripta api bhunjanah apyasamah samadarshana, and where there is inequality, there also he knows that everything is equal, everything is similar. Though without riches, yet ever content. Though helpless, yet very powerful. Sri Ramakrishna, when Mathur is his caretaker, and he is making pranam. What are you doing? What are you doing? What people will tell. Not only that, Rani Rasmani requested him to sing the glories of mother, and he was singing. But then Ramakrishna noticed that she was absent-minded and she was thinking about her lawsuit, and he slapped Rani Rasmani, who is the mentor, who has given him shelter, and he slapped her. So it is because he is not afraid of anything. Though without riches, yet he were content. So he wanted to feed all the monks. So what he requested Mathur, and Mathur arranged everything. So people will be happy to even do certain service for him. Though helpless, yet very powerful. And people thought that Rani Rashmani will punish him, but nothing. And Rani Rashmani, on the other hand, realized that yes, he was at fault. She was thinking of lawsuit instead of listening to the music. Though not enjoying the sense objects, yet eternally satisfied. Though without an exemplar, yet looking upon all with an eye of equality. So apparently we see that he is interacting in this world differently, say with Naren in some way, with Baburam and another way, with M different way, with Hriday a different way, with different person different way, but he knows he's interacting with himself. So he looks upon all with an eye of equality. For him, all are equal. Even Girish Chandra Ghosh came and he imparted him the highest knowledge. Girish Chandra Ghosh even insulted him, invited him to take food, and while eating, he requested that he should be his child. Then why should he asked? Sri Ramakrishna said, "Why should I? My father was so pure, and you are not that." And Girish was drunk, and he abused him, and he said, "No, no need of eating. Go away, go away." And then he went to Dakshineshwar, and the next morning, or after that, whenever it was, whosoever went to Dakshineshwar, he said, Girish told me this, all abuse, and this. Oh, some people say, why should you go there? Don't go. He's a bad person. Somebody said something else. But when Ram came, Ramakrishna told him, Girish told me this, all filthy words. So Ram said, he did well, very well. You say he did well. Yes. Why? Because when Sri Krishna tamed Kaliya Nag, so Sri Krishna asked, why are you spitting venom here in this water and killing so many people? He said, Sir, what can I do? You have given me poison. I cannot spit nectar. I only can spit venom. So you have given Girish all these words. What will he give? Yes, you are right. Let us go there. So he went there, and Girish was weeping. He insulted his guru, and he said, I'll commit suicide. He thought that he will commit suicide. At that time, Sri Ramakrishna reaches there. And then and Girish was, Girish was flowing in tears. And he said, you have come today, so I know that you are an incarnation of God. If you would not have come, I would think that you are not incarnation of God. So here it is very difficult otherwise to understand. So it is because he had that samadarshana, self, that the eye, he saw everything with an eye of equality. We go to the next. Api kurvan na kurvan kurbanas kurbanah ta bhukta phalo bhogyapi. Api kurvan akurbanah ta bhukta phalo bhogyapi. Now, one thing I forgot to tell, that he was, or he becomes abhayam pratishtha. Why happens? Because the abhaya is vaitat bhayam bhavati. When there are two, then only one is afraid of other. But when one knows that there are no two, he is not afraid of the second person. Vaitat bhayam bhavati. So abhayam pratishtha, abhayam satta samshuddhir jnana yoga vyavasthiti danam damascha yajnascha swadhyaya staparjavam. So abhaya is very important. In Bhagavan, in Gita, Bhagavan says that first is abhayam. Why? Because there is no fear. Say, suppose you dreamt a tiger. Tiger was chasing you, but all of a sudden you wake up. What happens? Are you afraid of tiger? No. Though your heart may be palpitating, but you know there was no tiger. Therefore, you are not afraid of tiger. So, api kurvan akurmanah abhokta phala bhogyapi sharir sharirya pasar sharirapyash ashish asharir yesha parichinnopi sarvagaha. So what is the meaning? The meaning is api kurvannapi, though doing yet inactive. Though doing yet inactive. As Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita, Pashan Sridnan Ashnan Gachan Swapan Shashi. So everything happens. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukta manneta tattvavit. I am not doing anything. The knower of self knows that he is not doing anything. So everything happens. He's eating, he's drinking, he's walking, he's going everywhere. It is like when you dream, in your dream you walk, you do all sorts of things. But when you wake up, then you know all those were not happening. So you can argue that is when you are dreaming, you have come out of it. No, say suppose this is light. In light, you take another light and you make some figure. Is also light. So whatever happens, the same light is manifesting in different ways. So even when he is awake, you see like this, one plays in a drama, though he weeps, oh, I have lost everything, what will happen to me? But internally he knows that all false. It's only a drama. So this is happened. Nirdhanop api kurvannapi, though doing yet inactive. An actor, though he acts, even weeps or laughs, he knows it has no meaning. Okay, you go for a movie and you see like a hero or protagonist of that play was beaten by the villain in the beginning, of course. After that he wins. You are also like, oh, what will happen, what will happen? So you are worried, but internally it is all movie. So we see in the screen, say like TV screen or computer screen, something is happening, but knowers know that it's only blinking, nothing is happening there. Only children are affected, but knower knows that nothing is happening, only blinking of some dots. So api kurvannapi, though doing yet inactive, though experiencing fruits of past actions, as if he is experiencing. No, like if you eat a chili, that means you feel the heat, yet untouched by them, though possessed of a body, yet without identification with it. So Sri Ramakrishna, like he had a body, but sometimes he would take all his clothes and under his armpit and he would go naked, not aware of his body, yet without identification with it, though limited yet omnipresent in is he. Sri Ramakrishna. See, like Surendra was weeping at the time of worship of Divine Mother, and Sri Ramakrishna went there. So he was in his dwelling place, and Kedar came from Dhaka. So he held his feet and said, "You cannot fool me. I have seen you in Dhaka." So Naren says, "How can I disbelieve you? Because many times I have seen in my apartment, in my town." Narendranath used to live in a very small, he used to call him as a tong. Tong means like high, like a place very high on top. So I have seen him many times in my room. So how can I disbelieve? So though he is limited, as it were, in the body, but he is beyond. Sarvagaha. Yet omnipresent is he. We go to the next, for time is up. Okay, we'll take this. Ashariram sada santam imam brahmavidam kvachit priya priye na sprishatah tathaiva ya shubha shubhe. Nothing pleasure or pain, nor good nor evil, ever touches this knower of Brahman, who always lives without the body idea. So he is happy like a child. Child, they are not very identified with the body. Sometimes maybe some say thorn has entered. So maybe he'll cry, but then after that, little after that, maybe somebody scolded him, but after a little, then he or she will become friend of that person. So there is no uh, identification. This happens even with the child, but a person who has matured enough, who has attained the highest wisdom, for him there are no such limitations. So neither pleasure nor pain, nor good nor evil ever touches this knower of Brahman, who always lives without the body idea. So we'll stop here. Akshay, any question or anyone? Yes. Yes, go ahead. It's only an example. For us, it is called Swapna Vat, like dream, like dream. Yesterday, whatever you did, how it looks like a dream. As of now, when you are interacting, it is real. Real means you cannot deny this. When you dream, you cannot deny that. But a person who has realized, he is always aware of his own real self, and he knows that there are no many, there are no two. But as of now, you have not attained. I have not attained. So for me, this question is real. But after say 5-10 minutes, this will go back. That will be like dream. Right? So it is, as of now, you have to take as it is. But mentally you have to understand that it has no final, it is not real. It is temporary. It is not permanent. But you are permanent. I am permanent. Not this body, not this mind. Body and mind are temporary. But behind this body, mind, even intellect, my real self is permanent. All other things are coming and going. Whatever comes and goes away, that is not real. It is like that. That's only example. It's not exactly similar. If you think it is similar, so I give example. When you are driving, you have to know that the car that is coming from the other side may hit you. You have to be careful. So you cannot say that it is like blinking of various dots. As of now, you have to take it. If you are hungry, you have to eat. But a time will come when you'll realize that if body is to be maintained, mother will take care. And one day it is to be taken away, mother will take care of that also. So it is like a dream. Swapna vat. Not a dream, like dream. It has a little of satta, vyavaharik satta. There are 4 kinds of satta. One is called alika satta. Alik, which is not there at all. Like if I say, I saw a rabbit which has a horn. So that's not real. I saw a person who is a son of a barren woman. So that's not possible. Barren woman cannot have a son. So this has no existence at all, but gives a notion that there is something. Notional existence called alik. Alik means false. So this is false existence. Then pratibhasika, like a dream. Dream is pratibhasika. You see your image in a mirror. It is only your reflection. And if you make face, it will make face to you. Pratibhasa, mirror image. That is also not real. Then come Vyavaharik. You asked a question, I am answering. So this is Vyavaharik. It is Vyavahara, transactional reality. But this also will move to the past. Now it is gone. Like we are not here, now we have come. After a certain minute, we will go away. So it is called Vyavaharik Satta. Vyavaharik Satta, it seems that it is there, but in reality, it is temporary. Whatever is temporary is not permanent, and what is not permanent is not real. This is Vedanta, like we are talking about Vedanta now. In Bhakti, you have to hold this. You have to interact with God as real. God is real, and your devotion is also real. But here we are talking about Vedanta. Whatever Vedanta is, like open with open sword. It cuts asunder everything. Whatever is temporary, it has no existence. But behind this temporary interaction, there is some reality. I am real. And you are my reflection only. You are asking a question, it's my reflection. You also can think that I am your reflection. And then comes Paramarthik Satta, which never cease to exist. You never cease to exist. I never cease to exist. I am existing in all time. In my waking state, my dreaming state, dreamless state. I was there yesterday when I was a kid, and I am today here, and one day I'll have to leave this world. I mean, this body will be thrown away. Still, I'll be there. So this is Paramarthik Satta. Only this Paramarthik Satta is real. All are temporary. So Alik Satta, Pratibhasik Satta, Vyavaharik Satta, and Paramarthik Satta. Satta. Sat means existence, as if existing. So three are as if existing, and really one is existing. One is our real self. Your real self, my real self. And there are not two, you and me. In our real self, it is one. Yes.
Like after getting this knowledge, can one forget that even sage Narad was deluded?
Okay. That is to teach us. But after attaining this, you cannot forget. And this happens in a flash. Sakrit Vibhati. Somebody tells you a joke, and he keeps the pun word at the end. As soon as he says, you laugh. Ha ha. So that experience you cannot forget. You know what I'm saying? In relative term, what you experience, you cannot forget. If I tell you that you don't exist, suppose God comes and says, you don't exist, what will you say? You will say, my dear God, you know you are a I know that you are a very busy person. You have so many things to do. Please mind your business. I know that I exist. Can anyone shake that you exist? I'm asking you a question.
No.
Ah, why? Because you know that you exist. Like you are a child. Now you are young man. That time also you existed that time, and now also exist. When you sleep, you are existing. When you dream, you are existing. As of now, you are awake, you are existing. This never cease to exist. So, once you know this, nothing can obliterate it. Nothing. But what happens? Sometimes you identify with body. When you say, see, I am only 5 feet 2 inches, or my age is say 20 years, then you are relating with your body. And then you say, I am a student of high school and I understand only, say, basic science. You are talking about your intellect. Sometimes you say, I am happy. Sometimes you say, oh, I am very, very sorry. You are relating with your moods and your emotions. You are identifying with your emotions. But that which is present in all condition is your real self. Nothing can affect you. You cannot forget it. Okay. When you are sleeping, do you forget yourself?
No.
No, because you dream. I don't dream for you. As of now, can you forget yourself? No, because you are listening. In your dream also, you cannot be absent. Not only that, in your dreamless state also, you cannot be absent. You cannot say, oh, I slept yesterday so very nicely, I did not know anything. How you know that? Because you experienced, you experienced. So when this awareness comes, it is once for all, Sakrut Vibhati. It comes in a flash. All other things will come and go, but this will never cease to exist. Na sato vidyate bhava, na bhavo vidyate sat. Na sato, na asat, asat, which is not true, never exists. And whatever is true, sat, never cease to exist. So you cannot forget this, right? Say suppose whatever we are talking about today, you will forget. Maybe after the class you'll forget. Why? Because it's only intellectual. But you cannot forget yourself, not intellectual, your experience. That is why we need to repeat over and over again, so that this intellectual practice or exercise becomes real. That is why we need to study over and over again, so that it becomes normal. Then nothing will affect you. When somebody insults you, you'll not worry about it, because you know there are no two. Like if you uh, open your eyes, you'll see in the society there are so many conflicts are going on. But if you know yourself, nothing can deter you, nothing can affect you.
Thank you.
So we'll say Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamivavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tatsat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. You know what has no limit? Say like sky. Sky has no limit. You cannot cut the sky and throw it somewhere else. Sky is everywhere. Similarly, you cannot separate yourself from yourself. You are all pervading, even greater than the sky. Sky is all pervading, but you are greater than. Even sky is conceived by you.
Swami.
Pranam.
Pranam Maharaj.
It's open. It's open. I'll wait. I'll ask him again. Oh, wait. I had a question, but I'll ask you later.
Please.
My
Again?
question was, of the four, yes, of the four conditions, the last two being Bhabaharaka and Paramatrika,
Yes.
is Bhabaharaka like qualified non-dualism and Paramatrika being absolute non-dualism?
You see, that is a different
School.
relation. You know, say you are there. You have two hands, limbs.
পড়াশোনা করো
Please unmute that one. You have hands, you have feet, you have head. It is all your part, right? All your part. So that is Vishishta Advaita. Advaita means non-dual, but with certain qualification
Okay.
or certain qualities, attributes. So you are one, no doubt, but you have some limbs, head, trunk, etc. So it is not different. It is called Swagata Bheda. Swagata means it is the difference is within that limit. Swagata means it is not like other two kinds of Vedas are Swajatiya Bhed and Bijatiya Bhed. What is Bijatiya? Like horse and cow, two different species. Then cows, maybe one is white, one is black. So it is a Swajatiya. Swagata Bhed means within one there is some attribute which looks like different, but it is one united whole. So Vishishta Advaita accepts that God with Jiva and Jagat. That means this world and also all the beings. So God with all attributes. But non-dualist says all these are temporary. That means all these are only Vyavaharika. In Vyavahara we see this, but there is no reality of it. So non-dualists think that there is only Paramarthika. Vyavaharika is there, but it has no reality behind it. It is only
Thank you.
Vyavahar.
Thank you. I'm ignorant about some of the finer points of philosophy, but thank you for,
Yeah.
like trying to clarify
See,
it.
like apparently I have limbs, but I am one. Whether I, internally, actually, I have, this body idea is also in my mind. Where is this body idea? In my mind. When I sleep, in deep sleep, I forget I have a body. So body idea is in my mind. And where is my mind? Mind is in my spirit, means in myself, in my Atman. So actually, my Atman alone exists. All these are just for sake of saying that I have a body, I have a mind.
So Bhavaharaka relates to the idea that at some level we still think of ourselves as a body and a mind.
Yeah, like Vyavaharik means when we are to interact, say, when one starts singing, one has to go by the grammar. When one starts learning dancing, one should go like this. Okay, put your feet like this with a particular timing, or sing like sa, re, ga, so like this. One has to learn like this. But once he masters it, then he sees there are no two.
Okay.
So in the beginning, one can have these differences. There is no harm about it. We go to the shrine and we prostrate. But what Sri Ramakrishna says, Advaita Gyan Achole Vedhi Chaichetai Kor. That means first you hold this, that non-dual existence, Advaita Gyan, knowing the knowledge of Advaita. First attain it, then you enjoy, like Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna attained that, after that he is behaving like a normal human being. It is like this. Once you scale the Everest, then you come back. You don't remain there for eternity. And then interact in the world. And then you'll tell people how I went there and what experience that I had. All these you can relate to people. As Sri Ramakrishna did. In my sadhana, what did I do? But he knows, though he's interacting with all people, but he knows he's interacting with himself. So there is no harm keeping a little of differences. There is no harm. But ultimately we have to keep and reach there, which encompasses everything, which is the ultimate. After that, you can come down.
Paramatrika is the goal, but we still are dealing in Bhavaharaka. Is that correct?
Yes, Paramarthika is the goal. After attaining Paramarthika, even if you come back, but that is, you are interacting with yourself, that means you are all the time Paramarthika. You cannot forget yourself.
Okay, thank you. Jai
Yes,
Ma.
Jema.
Jana, Jana.
Pranama.